and welcome to Nug Life Podcast. I am your host, Dan Wetstein, and that is my co-host, Santiago Salazar. We are here to talk about your Denver Nuggets. I don't know how you spent your Saturday, but I've spent it watching XFL football and pissing off conservatives on Twitter. What have you been doing?
I've caught a little bit of that XFL. I've been anticipating All-Star. This is like I don't know. I think it's kind of weird that XFL would throw some, because I know there's still some games that are about to happen and about to get on the way, but I'm surprised that they would be having them going on while the All-Star is in progress. I know it's not the highest rated show, All-Star Weekend, but you could imagine, for money purposes, the XFL would at least, cut the games at least by 7 or whatnot. But anticipating All-Star Weekend, XFL has been fun to watch. I've caught a little bit of highlights with the play calls and all that. It's backyard football. And
how about
it's
the Kung
kick-ass
Fu movie vibe that was going on?
I saw you wrote that. I saw you wrote that. Yeah. I was like, he's on to something right there, man. He is on. It's like
it was so weird. Man. Like, I've seen delays before in live sports, but man, that was like a good 5 seconds between somebody opening their mouth and then you finally hearing what they have to say. It was so weird to sit there and try and keep up with The Rock's promo with the delay. It was like that Kung Fu guy. He was trying to say, like, my Kung Fu is unbeatable. Like, it was.
Well, I think
I can't stop crying over here.
The names of the teams are just something else. Like the Houston Roughnecks. Like, how didn't we just have Vipers? Like the Washington Commander? Like, who the Washington team was named
DC
before?
Defenders. Yeah, DC Defenders. That's what they're called.
Like, but you think Houston Roughnecks, isn't that like kind of borderline a little bit on the prejudice side, wouldn't you think? I mean, it's damn near close to redneck.
But yeah, it could be. But a roughneck is an actual term for for men and women that work on oil rigs. Like that's their technical term. And Houston Oilers, Arlington Roughnecks, that's where that's coming from. But some of the Seattle Sea Dragons is like, there you go. But the Seattle Sea Dragons, it's like they really tried so hard to make this as WWE as possible without it being the WWE. I mean, you had the promos before the first game. You had The Rock on the sidelines. You had other wrestlers on the sidelines, and you could tell this was minor league football. I know. I promise you all, we're going to get to basketball. I know we're talking about XFL, but that's what happened today. And the reason we're talking about it is the fact that they're playing a game right now. They had a game start at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's the same time the skills competition started for the NBA. So I don't know if The Rock overthought it when it came to America's obsession with football. Like, we love NFL and college football. This was minor league Division II football at best.
Yeah.
Like it was, you could honestly tell why none of these guys are on an NFL roster. Like, I hate to be disparaging of these dudes, and there might be a guy or two, kind of like the last XFL with he hates me and some of those guys that might come in as special teams players, but that's pretty much what we were watching was NFL special teams players playing all the other positions. Like, these are guys that at best are going to be gunners in the NFL, kicker protectors, guys like that.
Long snappers.
Long snappers. Like, these are guys that would be on the fringe at best, and they're taking that product and they are that confident in the, I guess, insatiability is what they believe is football in America. And they're putting it up against the NBA. So I'm interested to see how this viewership kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Weans out over the weekend. I'm going to look at the numbers on Monday to see how this all worked out, and we'll talk about it on Breaking Broncos in a lot. Glad that wasn't something NSFW.
You got to give me as a special guest, because I can go all day with the out of season football leagues that are not the NFL. So.
I got
I'm all in for it, brother.
Sounds great. So, we might have to drag you on there on Monday. So we'll talk about that more there. Let's go ahead. Let's jump in to the Nuggets. Let's talk about basketball, about teams that actually matter and have professional athletes that belong on the professional stage.
There you go.
The Nuggets beat the Heat in Miami. This was the litmus test that I was talking about last week when we left y'all with the Heat playing defense. The fact that the Nuggets were able to go in and really kind of win this wire to wire was a little bit surprising to me. And I know you actually picked them to lose this game. So how shocking was it for you to see what went on in this game?
I don't remember. Was it both of us that picked us to lose it, or were we vice versa, where you chose us to lose the match? Or did you choose us to win both games? I don't remember.
I chose them to win both.
Okay, so maybe I was just the peanut brain over here.
No, you're good, man. You had a legitimate reason to believe it.
I think I mentioned this to you too, is nothing's better than being wrong in sports, especially when it's your team. I was so excited.
Exactly that.
Bro, I was so excited the fact that they went into Miami and it wasn't a back-to-back, or was it a back-to-back? I don't remember if it was, but being on that road trip.
They had a game in between. They had a day off in between.
Either or, the tough road skid the Nuggets have been having, and to get on track and go face one of the top-notch Eastern Conference team, to your point, just a juggernaut on defense, it was just something that was bar none, especially when you have a healthy Jimmy Butler, a healthy Bam Adebayo. The Nuggets went out there and, they played their asses off, and they're 21-0 when Nikola Jokic gets a triple-double. And it's just unbelievable to watch going into All-Star, especially with that Mavericks win. It's something that coming out of All-Star break, I'm so anticipating them coming back from it. As I told you before the show, I went to the Avs game this past Tuesday. I was just waiting for a Nuggets game. I kind of got sad when I realized, damn, man, it's going to be a little while till they're hitting back over here on Ball Arena. So as soon as they do come back from this All-Star break and come off of these a couple of days of rest, I'm all there, man.
Yeah. The Nuggets, just to clarify, the Nuggets were 24-0 at the end of the Heat game in triple doubles with Jokic. After the next game with the Mavericks, they went 25-0. So,
man, I was way off. Man,
no, you're good. You're right there.
That's
you're 24-0.
insane.
Yeah, 24-0 after Miami, and then turned around 25-0 the very next game. Jokic it's ridiculous. Like, there's no other argument that can be made for any other player in any way, especially after the way that they just handled Luka Doncic in this. Like, he did in the second game, I'm sorry. And then also Jimmy and company against the Heat there. So what Jokic is doing is insane. The MVP conversation is done. They just did a straw poll of all the NBA writers and the NBA Writers Association, and Jokic is firmly, it's not even close anymore. It used to be a two-man race. Now it's not even close in the straw poll. So I think Jokic has gone ahead and, before the All-Star game, locked up his third straight MVP. So that was awesome to see, is him go up against a team that had a guy like a Bam Adebayo. That's a defensive player of the year candidate. And he was still able to go out there and just drop dimes everywhere, shoot wherever he wanted to, get whatever shot he wanted to, and go out there and get another triple-double.
Watching that Miami game, I think they were broadcasting it on NBA TV. And they had the little camera angle every time, someone scored a box, inside the paint kind of basket. And in the fourth quarter, down the stretch, the spin that Jokic did on Adebayo, just to fake out and then go back around, and it's a savant. It's just a basketball IQ. There's nothing like it, man. And I was seeing a podcast way back. Larry Nance Jr. was saying that when you watch Jokic, he's not a fast guy. He's not the most athletic, but, IQ will always outbeat talent any day, or not talent, but physicality anytime. It will outbeat speed. Just if you're even half as smart as what Nikola Jokic is, you'll be a successful NBA player.
I agree. Yeah, it's insane what this man sees on the court. Like, one of the best shots of the game was Reggie Jackson seeing for the first time what Jokic can do with the touch pass. The shot was missed. Like, he didn't get an assist on this one, but it was the one where he was in one motion. He grabbed the ball and just flicked it back across to MPJ in the paint, all in just one motion. And Reggie almost lost himself on the bench, just thinking what's possible with that big man.
That water polo handball stuff, man. I know he's not just riding horses. I know he got to be playing water polo more than anything, man, because that's where it comes from. It's so unteachable. It's a mixture of just so many other type of sports, not just basketball, that he just integrates with on the hardwood.
100% agree. And this is I'm glad you brought that up, because this is something that I am a proponent of, and I have been my entire life, is I hate the specialization of sports with children. I despise these parents that have their 9-year-old playing nothing but baseball or basketball or football year round, taking them to these ridiculous camps and just riding them for a free meal ticket so that way they can retire early. That makes me sick. I love the parents that allow their kids to play all these sports, because then you get these ridiculous athletes like the LeBron Jameses, like the Nikola Jokic's, like the Deion Sanders, Bo Jacksons, if you want to go back in time. Like, the reason that those guys and these women and that are so good at these sports and become these savants in these sports where they do things that you've never seen done in that specific sport is because they're borrowing from another sport they played growing up or when they got older. It's the Dexter Fowler's when he was here in the Colorado Rockies, where he would go out there and jump like he was a basketball player and clear fences. Like, I had never seen a baseball player jump on a 10-foot fence and be able to just sit on it, and just from standing. That was what Dexter Fowler was able to do because he played basketball when he was younger, because he played football. He was able to track balls over his head better. So people, if you're listening and you got kids that are in sports, please don't specialize them. This is why we end up with high schoolers having multiple Tommy John surgeries. This is how we end up with high schoolers end up with knees that are worse than 80-year-olds. Is because y'all are out here just riding these kids like
that's a harsh one. Worse than 80-year-olds.
I'm dead serious. Like, there are some high schoolers out here that they have geriatric joints because of what they've been put through by their parents. Like, dude, they're kids. Let them be kids.
Yeah, I had this conditioning coach for football, and he said, you cannot be a part of my team if you don't at least practice with the track squad or the wrestling squad. You need to condition yourself. And, because what's the old saying, football is, 20% physical, 80% mental, or whatever that is. And it's 100% correct. You can have all the physical ability that you want, but it's about the mentality that pushes you through, anything in any kind of sport. And it's so relatable. So as to your point, don't just focus on one sport. You want to at least focus on the outside of it and integrate it all together. You see what Nikola Jokic is doing. You see, DK Metcalf. I saw a video of him earlier today where this guy just flat-footed jumped up and caught this ball, man. It was like 6-7 feet. I mean, he's going to get PED checked. But at the same time, that's a basketball type of background. And if you want the best success for your young youth, get them joined in other sports. Don't be a hard head and say, oh, this sport's better, this sport's weaker, this is why I don't want them playing this sport because it's for pansies. And you got to have that stubbornness out the window, and you got to understand what it develops and the other habits it could create for that other sport.
Right. I mean, just look at it. If you want to look at NFL, look at Antonio Gates and Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
Two prime examples.
Tony Gonzalez. All of those guys played basketball all the way through college. They played basketball. So yes, please stop the specialization, stop the BS, and stop treating your kid like a meal ticket. Like, that is the biggest thing that gets to me. Like, if they make it, they make it. If not, they don't. But let them have fun. Stop making this about you and leave it to the kids, please. So now you remember that?
Go ahead.
My bad before we go, but you remember that Blues Clues thing like 2 years ago where, the dude, he was off air for like 10 years and he came out of nowhere. Yeah. He made that little video for like probably kids my generation,
Right.
I'm a young little whatever. And he said, I haven't gone nowhere. I missed you. And there was a meme that it was just saying they'd beat dads after their kid gets drafted. I missed you. Yes. I haven't gone nowhere.
Yes. Like some water boy stuff. But Bobby, I saw you on the ESPNs.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
No milk ticket over here, man.
None at all. Just let the kids have fun, man. Just that's where you get these kids that end up being great at a sport is you allow them to play different sports. They find one they love, and if they decide that that's the only one they want to play, let them play it. But again, don't do it a year-round thing. Don't be taking them to AAU tournaments and taking them to some ex-professional athletes symposium or something every single weekend. Like in the off season, let them have an off season. Let the kids be kids. Let them go play with their friends. Let them go ride a bike. Something like that. But I'm going to get down up off my soapbox here. We didn't come here to go ahead and rip parents. But y'all got it deservedly. So speaking of this Heats game, I think the biggest news story out of this, the biggest storyline that you should take out of it is not just the fact that Jokic had another triple-double. The Nuggets won another game where he had one. This bitch. You had 3 guys go for double digits. You had Uncle Jeff start breaking out. He had 12 points in this game. You had Christian Brown get 10 points in 26 minutes and Bruce Brown 16 points in 32 minutes. Then you also had KCP starting to showcase that defense we've been looking for. So has KCP shown enough defensively to change your mind on whether or not there should be some lineup changes like we have discussed in the past?
I mean, from the level of play that he showed early on in the year, which was atrocious on the defensive end, I mean, completely an upgrade. I don't know what it was. It must have been, getting the rust off of a long off season or, the chemistry changing from a new team. But KCP has been legit on the defensive end. I wish the Nuggets defensive unit can play how much as good as KCP has been recently. He's been knocking down the three, a true 3-and-D player. I'm actually disappointed he's not in the three-point contest. I don't know if you saw his interview or heard about it, but they asked him, they're like, yes. If you get a replacement or if they choose a replacement for the three-point contest, you go? And he said, hell no, I'm going to Cabo. So that's,
yes.
Let him enjoy his time, I guess. And I heard a thing like, well, why couldn't he do it remotely? Like, can they just record him? And they just keep track. Why not? Why not? The first make NBA history be remote. That's a flex right there to be on vacation, Cabo.
I mean, I guess, but I mean that really kind of takes the pressure. Like that's a different kind of thing, though, because then that's just like being in the gym. Like you don't have 30,000 people screaming at you. You're not competing. You don't have the guy right next to you competing. You don't have to sit there and watch him make all these shots and then be like, oh, it's like I get the concept, but yeah, I don't think that would really work out and I don't think it'd be fair either. So
man,
you kind of get a bit of an advantage, I would believe, over the other guys that are. And
that's
also I'm of the belief, I know a lot of people are angry that Jokic is the only Nugget going there and they're the number 1 seed. But to me, honestly, I wouldn't care less if none of the Nuggets, because you want to know what our guys are doing that LeBron and Giannis and all these other guys ain't doing? They in Cabo. They chilling. They relaxing. They getting healed
enjoying themselves. No pressure.
Right? No pressure. We've had the issues. We've had the injury issues lately. So the last thing I would want was one of our guys to go out there, give a little bit too much, let the adrenaline get a little bit too much to him, and then sprain an ankle or tear a ligament or something. Just go, relax, have fun, come back rested, and let's bring back Murray with a good knee and Gordon with a good shoulder. Let them guys, rest and relax, because those are really the only 2 guys you can have an argument should have went to the All-Star game. Okay, is Aaron Gordon. I mean, you might say Jamal Murray to a point, but he was a little bit inconsistent to begin with, missed games. So I mean,
second half Jamal for sure. Second half Jamal is not if we're rating it up for that. But
if you're wanting to go from January 1st to now, definitely. He's been one of the best players in the league, let alone just a regular all-star or whatever. But, overall, I understand why Jamal didn't get there. I don't understand, outside of injury, why Aaron Gordon didn't get there. That doesn't make any sense to me. Even if you just name him and then replace him because he's injured, at least give the man respect. He deserves.
Should have the accolade, for real.
Yeah.
Should have the accolade.
Especially when you consider the man's never made one. How is that possible?
And plus, he's been robbed. Like
never.
I would say, he's been robbed twice because that first dunk contest with Levine was legit, but that second one, he got robbed bad in that dunk contest.
D-Wade screwed him so bad.
Yeah, that was a Miami guy going for the other Miami guy, you know.
Oh God, it was,
what it was,
blatantly obvious. He can say whatever he wants to say. That was blatantly obvious what he was doing. So, but back to the question at hand, KCP, has he earned your trust to stay in the starting lineup from now on? To me, yes. I have finally seen enough defensively. Yes, he's a little bit inconsistent offensively at times, but if he can play the defense he's been playing lately with these swats and steals and blocks, I'm good, bro. Do you?
You know, I'm all in. Making him an every game starter. I mean, who else would replace KCP? It's either been Bruce Brown or Christian Brown, one of the Brown boys. And that kind of sounds a little. I didn't mean no ill intent when I said it.
It's okay. It's okay. You said it. I didn't say it. Me saying it would be a little bit weird. You said it. I think we're going to be all right. You got the leeway to say those things.
Yeah, man. Just a little bit. No bad intention there. But you know what I'm impressed though with Bruce Brown is with Jamal being out, he's been playing that one point guard at a phenomenal, a couple phenomenal performances. I didn't really see Bruce Brown as a one. You can probably make him as a combo guard, but in today's small ball type of era, I mean, I think he could even play a four. I just see him more of a 2 to 4 kind of guy, but he's really impressed me with the way he's been, I don't want to say running the point, because when you don't have Jamal out there, Nicola's going to be running the point. He's the point center. He's the first initial one, the real initiator of that title of a point center. But with Bruce Brown, I mean, obviously he's been out there playing a facilitating type of role. So it's been very impressive. KCP, I can't really see anyone really replacing him on a night-to-night basis. Maybe if there's a game where he was off and, Malone might want to change the rotation the next night. I can see that every once in a while, put Christian Brown in there. But I think that's a lot for KCP for the rest of the season is that 2 spot.
Yeah, I 100% agree. At this point, the only way I would see that there'd be a change is if like Christian Brown just all of a sudden became some type of offensive savant. Like he's been improving steadily. I don't think enough people have recognized how hard that boy has worked to get better, especially in the paint and finishing at the rim. He's gotten much, much better over the last couple of months. So unless he just completely goes off and starts going off for like 20, 30 points a night, I don't see anybody really having the pedigree or the talent to take over KCP's spot at this point. My only problem before was the fact that he wasn't playing defense up to his capability, and I don't like that. That is something that irks me, and I know it irks Coach Malone as well. I'm honestly surprised Malone stayed with him as long as he did for him to figure it out. But now that he's got the defensive side figured out, he's going to hit those shots. He's ridiculous from 3. It is ridiculous he's not in the three-point contest again. But, hey, again.
I think it's more of his decision. It's more of his
knock
decision
the bucket.
that he's not there.
Yeah. Go
Cabo,
rest,
baby. Go
come
to
back.
Cabo.
Come back. Yeah, go to Cabo. Come back. Hit them buckets for the Nuggets when it matters. I ain't worried about nothing else.
And that's a luxury with having a guy like Nikola, though. Like, do you really think he's going to go to All-Star and give a damn about winning the All-Star game MVP or trying to make a name for him? Like, man, he's going to go up there, show up, do it for, fan interaction purposes mostly. He's not going there to show these other players because he could care less, honestly. And Malone knows the guy he coaches because Malone is I don't know how the hell
he's the head
All-Stars format is.
Yeah.
Whatever team. I used to be East versus West. They should go back to that format.
Yeah,
I can't
Team LeBron and Team Giannis. And Malone is the coach of Team LeBron. LeBron is essentially the Western Conference, and Giannis is the Eastern Conference.
Eastern Conference, yeah. And actually, they're doing the skills right now. Giannis apparently is day-to-day, so he didn't compete in the skills contest. They put Drew Holiday in there. Just a little, I don't know who goes day-to-day. If you're going to go to All-Star, at least compete in order to keep your ass home. But
right.
I'm kind of going off the rails. I don't know.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's move on from the Heat and KCP. Let's move over to the Nuggets dominating Dallas at home, making sure that they were going into the All-Star break as hot as possible. How impressive was Dunkle Jeff's 24?
I'm so glad for that performance because I've been looking in the box score almost on every game. Like, yeah, Jeff Green has been one of those vets who just gets the whole group to mesh together, the same as DeAndre Jordan. But I know Jeff Green has so much more in him still, so much more juice. He's not a guy – he's past his prime, but I wouldn't say completely washed. So when I'm seeing him only get, 4 a night, 6 minutes a night, and, poor shooting performances – kind of disappointed because I know he still has some left in the tank. So seeing that 24-point performance improved me everything that I still believed in Jeff Green. Just because he's 35 or 36 years old does not mean that he is, past being effective on a championship team. This is massive for the Nuggets. If you're not going to get a young, dumb guy like Bones Highland to come off the bench and score some buckets, then we'll have the 35 and 36-year-old come out and score some buckets. And, hey, Jeff Green off the bench, I'll take him over a Bones Highland any day.
I agree. And I think that addition that we got of Reggie Jackson's only going to make this bench stronger. And if Dunkle Jeff can just do half of this, like he did in the game prior, where he got 12 points. Dunkle Jeff. He's officially Dunkle Jeff. I don't think we can call him anything else at this time.
Are you trademarking that?
I don't know about trademark. I might, but I mean, I've said it. It's out there. I don't think I came up with it though. I think that came up. That was brought up by somebody from Altitude. I don't want to take credit for something that I didn't come up with, but I do think the first person that ever said that was it was either Vic Lombardi or Mark Mosier. I can't remember which one.
Oh, if it's either one of them, you can. We can do a 3-round boxing match. I got my money on you, and we can give you the trademark. We can do it.
Like all respect to Lombardi and Mosier, yeah, put your money on me, bro. I ain't even that cocky. No. all the respect in the world for what they do as a professional. Like I love Mosier, I love Lombardi, but that wouldn't be fair, especially Lombardi. Like I think Mosier might put up a bit, but Lombardi, I just have to put my hand on his forehead.
Yeah.
One of these days.
Unless he's like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, he's just a hothead and he brings a silencer with the 22 on it. That's the only way he's winning. That's the only way he's winning.
Just remember, I got a 40.
So, all right. Oh yeah.
I'm saying
he's done.
I got 15 in the clip. So if we want to go there, we can go there too.
We're promoting. What are we promoting over here?
Hey, I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real, bro. I'm just letting people know.
So, games.
People want to keep calling me a soy boy, woke person, whatever. Come see me. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, come see me and you won't see me. That's
all I'm saying. Like I can touch you from all distances, buddy. I got a 40, a 12, and a 308. So what you want to do? But anyway,
man.
We'll move on from there. I live in the project, man. What do you expect? Let's transition away from the project.
You done had a lot of practice. I see.
Just a little bit. But let's go ahead and move on. So speaking of the ceiling here in the projects, how about the ceiling
of this
bench?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's awesome, bro. That's awesome. I'm trying to come back with a smart aleck kind of response, but I can't really think of you. You beat me. You got me, man. You got me.
I broke him. Yes.
But the addition to Reggie, though, man, it's like, have you heard those little memes and little topics that they've had on the internet with? Now this is like Detroit Pistons on PEDs or steroids because they had Reggie Jackson, Bruce Brown. Who the hell else was on the squad? It's like 4 guys who are on the Nuggets right now. KCP and someone else who, but they were with they were all with the Pistons, when they sucked. Like Reggie Jackson, all respect to him. There? I don't think it was.
I'll look again. Or it was. Go ahead. I'll look.
It is someone, but Reggie Jackson, a great bench player. Now he's, as you said, increased the ceiling for this team. But this is when the Pistons, their best player was Reggie Jackson. If Reggie Jackson is your best player, you're obviously not a great team, even a good team, if that. So the fact that he is, I wouldn't say 6th man, he might be an 8th man. I see Bruce Brown as the legit 6th man on this team once Jamal comes back. But when you've released the poison of Bones Highland in that locker room, and everyone is on the same track where it's not just the coach who is, bashing out and yelling at him. It's veteran players who are letting their opinion known about the stubbornness and the ignorance of Bones Highland because he's not getting playing time and he doesn't want to take one for the team when, that's honestly the best approach when you're a championship team is don't not be selfish. Don't worry about your own playing time. Do what's the best for the success of this team. And you release that poison out of this locker room and off that bench, and now everyone can mesh together knowing that everyone has the same goal in mind. I mean, Reggie Jackson didn't sign here in Denver because he was looking for an individual role or individual performance. He wants to get a chip, and he sees the potential here. He sees the contention that this team has. And now that you have a bunch of minds that have their, goal set on only one thing, that's Larry O'Brien, it just improves everything in the ceiling of this bench and this depth and this roster to another level.
Yeah, I think that what the Nuggets did at the deadline is going to prove to be the most crucial moves. Like, I know everybody's going to talk about Kyrie to Dallas and KD to Phoenix, but the fact of them being able to do addition by subtraction, getting rid of Bones and that toxicity out of the locker room while getting back another young kid, Thomas Bryant, 25-year-old center that's out here doing some things. Like, that kid's showing something. He's nasty in the paint. I really like this kid. So him being the backup to Jokic, really kind of taking over that role from DeAndre Jordan, letting DeAndre kind of like wait till he's got that lightning in a bottle where he comes out and just blocks and dunks everything like he's 20 again. I think that addition is going to be huge. Like you said, the addition of Reggie Jackson being able to put Bruce Brown back into a natural 2 or 3 position that he's much better at than being that point guard, especially after they got rid of Bones. There was only 2 point guards on this roster. That was Jamal Murray and Bruce Brown technically, and the Ish Smith who took over Bones's role, but that's going to be Reggie's role now. Ish Smith's going to go back to that bottom of the barrel.
Go ahead. Then now we bring it up with that. We were talking about the new.
Yes, Ish Smith was
Detroit Pistons 2.0. It was Ish Smith. It was Ish Smith.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. Because
I went and
it was
looked
either Ish Smith or Jeff Green.
Yep.
My bad. I was like,
no,
Dean.
Those are the 2 I just looked up. While you were talking, I had looked it up. I was actually getting there. So you just kind of jumped the gun on me there.
I jumped the gun, my fault.
You're good. You brought it up. So, hey, if you're the one that figured it out, it's cool. I was going to give you credit anyways. But yeah, so the ceiling of this bench has been raised. As much as we were worried about what might happen if they got rid of Bones and what that would do to the ceiling of this bench, I think it actually got better when you have a Reggie Jackson who's a really physical defensive player. He doesn't just score points. He can at times drop 20, 25 points like a Bones did, but unlike Bones, he can get back on the other side of the court and play defense. That is the biggest key and what Reggie Jackson will be bringing to this team. But talking about bringing some craziness to the court, getting yourself arrested, which seems to be the thing in the NBA, ex-Nugget Bryn Forbes arrested for domestic violence. Are Bryn and Miles Bridges harbingers of a culture, or are they an outlier?
See, honestly, I think, and I'm going to lean to the answer that none of us want to hear or accept, especially fans of sports, but I think they're just part of a culture. This is not just the first time any of this has ever happened. This is not the first generation of things like this have ever happened. You just hear a lot more of it because we live in the day and age of social media. Guys have been dirtbags in professional sports dating back to, the 1900s. Early baseball days, they just didn't get in trouble for it because some of it was socially accepted. Then you go to the 60s and 70s and 80s, and then we just didn't have as many media outlets. Nowadays, as soon as something happens, you hear about it, it's out, and especially with anything involving law or criminal, those departments want to get a little bit of clout and say, hey, guess who we got, under investigation, or who we got caught up on a police report, and they want to go out and share it. So, there's stories like Karl Malone, which for almost 20 years, no one ever even really knew until the media came out. And Karl Malone impregnating a 13-year-old girl. There's just so many dirtbags out there, man, from each generation. And it's just now coming to more and more light. And athletes need to be more careful. I'd hate to say it because there is a lot of dirtbags out there. But, the ones who haven't gotten caught, they essentially, I would, for lack of a better word, smart dirtbags.
Yeah, I will agree on everything except for them becoming smarter. I want them to be dumb. I want them to be caught.
Yeah, maybe I should have rephrased my.
No, you're good. I'm just clarifying. I know what you meant, brother, and I know you're right here with me. So, but no, like I want them to be caught. I want these men to get the spotlight, and they do not. I don't care what any of you say. I know y'all might want to say, but did you say you're liberal? And like, they don't get a second chance.
No,
I don't.
Especially
when it comes to things
in your
like
position,
this.
Especially in their position. No, go ahead. I was just.
I'm saying, like, when it comes to things like this, when it comes to putting your hands on women and children, these are two of my biggest bugaboos. These are two things I do not forgive. I was raised by women. I have 6 sisters. I've said this before. I got 6 sisters, no brothers. I have the ultimate respect for the female physique, soul. I mean, everything about a woman, I have nothing but the utmost respect for. It's what raised me. I know the strength of women. So that's why I went so hard about the Tiger Woods BS. And I've been going back and forth with these maggots on Twitter about it. Like, it's important to point these things out, especially if you are a man. Like, I know so many people are like, oh, I can't be a man because being a man's toxic. No, being a douchebag is toxic. Being a man, being a grown man, like me, like my boys over here, that is not toxic.
Yeah,
I am not toxic. Santiago is not toxic. You want to know why? Because we don't need to make misogynistic and sexist jokes because our sense of humor is still in the 3rd grade. We grew up. We're adults. We're grown men. I need the rest of you to follow us.
Yeah, see, that's the stuff I have no tolerance for, is when these guys get in trouble for the nature of domestic violence. I mean, I grew up with my mother, a single woman, and she experienced a lot of that. Just, a lot of dirtbags, especially with us. When there's kids around too, with the Miles Bridges situation, little kids who can't do nothing about it. And then those kids grow up and they realize who, you were, and you're trying to establish a relationship. Oh, you were beating up on my mom. Why would I want anything to do with you? I've had numerous of guys like that who my mom dated, and they want to be all friendly and cool with me. They see I'm doing something, at least positive. And they, man, kids don't ever forget that. They might not be physically capable of doing anything at that time, but they never forget that, man. And so that's the thing. I have zero tolerance. Now, when guys are getting busted for, drinking and driving, you shouldn't do it at all. We make decisions, though, it's dumb. And you're a professional player. You should have people around you. I feel that your decision-making should be at least a little bit on another level than, just the average 9-to-5 person. When it comes to, that dumb stuff that could be avoided. Domestic violence could be avoided, but there's no excuse for it. Am I saying there's an excuse for, drugs and alcohol in a Josh Gordon type of situation? Well, you don't know what some people deal with their life and their mental health. I know the Josh Gordon situation, he got in a lot of trouble with drugs, but he started taking drugs at 12 years old.
Let's be specific. He got in trouble for marijuana. That's it. Yeah. That's all they ever found on him.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Nothing saying anything out here making him seem like a big crackhead, And
right. I just wanted to make sure people understood in case they didn't know the full story.
I mean, you do your research in your own time, man. Like, Josh Gordon is not this big drug addict how people play. I mean, there's a lot of players who are like that as soon as they get busted for the smallest little, ounce of something, or, little as anything that has to do with the nature of drugs, they, automatically pin them to be a straight crackhead. I have tolerance for that. But the DV stuff, the domestic violence stuff, that stuff, I was about to curse, I'm sorry, but that stuff has no tolerance, no love, or anything in my heart. I don't care how big of a perennial face of the league you are. If LeBron James, if Patrick Mahomes, if Russell Wilson, any of these guys, I lost all respect for you, and I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't care how great of an athlete you are in your respected profession. To me, I'm a bigger and better person. Even if I work a 9-to-5, I'm better than you in life. I don't care what your bank account looks like.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. I like the differentiation that you put there. The difference between stupid mistakes. Like, I hate when people talk about domestic violence as a mistake.
Yeah.
You don't mistakenly beat the dog brakes off the woman you love. You don't mistakenly beat her to a pulp in front of your children. Okay, whenever I hear or see this, the reason I get so worked up, I don't know if you've ever had to deal with this before, but I've got it on my conscience that I let my baby sister get hurt. One of her exes. Like, every time I see something like this, all I see is her coming out of her house with both hands wrapped because she's got multiple broken bones. Her hands are ripped to crap. She's got bruises all over her body. That image is seared into my brain. I will never forget that. And so I can never forgive any little boy, because you're not a man. No man puts his hands on a woman or a child, period. You are a little boy, and you do not deserve anything other than a jail cell afterwards, period. No second chance, no forgiveness. I don't care if he's Ray Rice and somehow convinces the woman he knocked out on video to marry him. I do not care. You do not get a second chance. You like that meme that came out afterwards talking about Adam Silver talking about, I hope you're ready to play for the Hong Kong Dragons. I hope you are, because you do not have a place in the NBA. You do not have a place in the NFL, MLB, NHL, or any other professional sports, or even amateur sports. I don't care if you're in college. It does not matter to me. It is not a boys being boys. It is not, oh, they're just locker room talk or what. None of that applies. None of that works. None of you are comedians, so you don't get to use the caveat of, oh, it's just a joke. Like, you're not paid to be funny. Shut up. Plain and simple. So again, I'm going to get down off of my soapbox. I've let out enough. Let's get back to basketball. So
it's all right. You got to be passionate. You got to be passionate about these topics.
I agree. So next up, Bones blames coaching staff for low communication. Number one, I don't know what low communication means. So take that for what it is. I don't know where he's making these things up, just like he makes up his bars. They're all terrible. Do you take this as an honest take or scorn player throwing blame?
I just think it's him trying to be professional and, give credit to him. He could have went off and did just, went ballistic and blamed the Nuggets for everything. But, even him trying to be professional just sounds ignorant. The Clippers are a team that, I guess they could tolerate him. They don't really have much on that squad. They ran out of the window of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So I guess use it as a developmental scene, because there's so many young guys on that team. And the only reason why they're relevant is because they got Kawhi, who don't play any games, Leonard, and, PG, rated G, I would call him. There's really no one on that team. So for him going to a squad that's going to give him as many minutes as he asked for, that's probably why you're over there and saying that there was a lack of communication. He knew what it was. When you see a team that is about to win 40 games before they lose 20 games, you're a championship contender. What do you mean miscommunication? Sorry. But you should already know that the whole idea of, getting Jamal back, getting Michael Porter Jr. back, acquiring KCP and Bruce Brown, two defensive-minded players. This team is all in to win a championship, and you decided not to be a part of that because of your selfish reasoning and calling it a miscommunication. It might have been a miscommunication on your part, but the Denver Nuggets knew what they were doing. They don't have no tolerance for nonsense. And, I tweeted this out, I think it was yesterday or the day before, but it was fine. All the playing time Bones got in year one, it was exciting. Jamal wasn't there. He was unhealthy. Bones got a substantial amount of playing time because Jamal was, wasn't healthy. Year two, Jamal comes back and he's healthy. Now Bones is throwing a hissy fit, acting like he's proven anything more than what Jamal has. Yeah, you had a good year and you had a good little moment in game 4 when the Nuggets were down 3-0. Again, the Warriors were hit, back-to-back threes. that's about as anything as you had. Jamal has proven way more in this league for us to just give him a bench spot over a Bones Highland. It's completely ignorant. It's just so dumb, man. Bones, I had so much love and respect for him, for his game at least. Honestly, I don't know him as a person outside of the basketball court. Before as a player and the way he's handling the media, saying that it's a miscommunication between the two parties. No, bro, it's a miscommunication on your part. You didn't want to be part of this championship team, and you're not going to be.
Yeah, I mean, if he would have used miscommunication, maybe I would have understand him. But low communication, like that, I don't know what low communication means. And for every other player to have ever come through here that has always touted Malone and his coaching staff's communication, for the only guy to say that there was low communication or bad communication of any kind, being the guy that was shipped out of town for being toxic, has me questioning whether or not he's being honest. So I think with what you said and what I just said, we've covered that pretty well. I have nothing else to add. Let's get on to some funner things. All-Star Game preview. What is your favorite event that's going on right now?
Well, we got the skills challenge going right now. I've been trying to go back and forth, but it's kind of too complicated for me to just even focus on, multitask what we're doing. So I'm just letting it run.
Humans can't multitask, so good.
Yeah, well, not with no difficult stuff like that, man. They just have altered everything around, and it's just so, I don't know. And even if I was paying attention to it, my full investment, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know I would still understand it.
Stuff. Yeah, this is why I record things.
Yeah,
I got XFL recording right now because I'm gonna subject myself to some more minor league football later after I get done with my data analytics course. I get to do data tables and XFL. Doesn't that sound so painful?
Hey man, you're fully invested in the XFL. I might just have to go hit the DVR real quick because
I wouldn't say I'm fully invested. I'm saying I'm trying it out and I want it to work. Like I want spring football to work because I love football. And if they can bring a good, exciting brand, great. But if they don't improve on earlier today, I might not be interested at all.
What I think is what would make it actually a recipe of success, or at least somewhat near it, is stop trying to compete with the NFL. Why don't you try to join with the NFL and make it a minor league to, in the minor league?
I think that's what The Rock is trying to do, because if you like, I don't know if you watched any of the ESPN like pre-kickoff like coverage where they did all these specials and stuff, kind of like they do with the NFL with like Hey Rookie and stuff like that. But they did a lot of that stuff with the XFL because ESPN, the Disney essentially owns the rights to all XFL broadcasts. ABC, NBC, not NBC, ABC, FX, ESPN and all those are where all the games are on. So I think that's what The Rock is trying to do, because if you watched them, all they were talking about was these are the best guys not on an NFL roster. And The Rock's whole thing is the number 54 because there's 53 men on the roster. There's always a 54th man that could have made it. That's kind of his shtick right now. But like that's their thing, is like they're trying to give guys that didn't make it in the NFL a chance to develop. That's why you see a lot of these guys that are from Division II and things like that. But they really should have done. I think the biggest thing that they messed up on is there was no preseason, no scrimmages. They just had 8 weeks of practice against each other. Like, and then there was like a couple of scrimmages maybe. So I think that would have helped out, especially when like your first game was that bad and the offensive line play is terrible because the guys don't know how to work with each other. Like there were so many missed assignments and stuff. But again, I don't want to make this an XFL podcast. Let's get back to basketball.
Hold on. I have one question. One more about XFL is, what is one player that you saw and you're like, oh damn, like he's out there, like he's with it. What like that one guy,
the kick returner from Arlington. I forget his first name, but his last name was Smith. Like he had some shades of like a mixture of Devin Hester with some Marshawn Lynch. Like he was making dudes miss and running them over, and this spin move he has and the stiff arm, like that's the one player that jumped out to me in the earlier game. So like there's some guys, but you can also see how much slower these guys. Like I hate.
Yeah.
Like,
like you can see the competition they're matched.
Yeah, like you can see the different level. Like you can. This game is so much slower than the NFL game. Like the guys out there, you can tell, you can see why most of these guys are not on an NFL roster. Let's hope that changes as things go and they're able to mesh and things of that nature. I'm hoping for it. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm not a guy out here hoping that it fails. I would like to see the XFL succeed. I would like to see the USFL succeed because that means more content for us. It means more sports for us to watch. Like, how can you not want that? But at the same time, like, I'm not just going to watch it because it's football. And I think that's where a lot of these leagues have gotten it wrong, is they just assume because it's football, people are going to watch. Like, at first, they will. But if you keep putting out subpar product on the field, people are going to tune out and they're going to do it quickly. And that's exactly what's happened to the XFL before, the USFL before, on multiple occasions. Like all these other leagues, they haven't worked because of that reason. So let's hope that the XFL gets it right and they figure it out and get a good product on the field. Because as long as you just put a good, it doesn't have to be great, it doesn't have to be NFL level, it just has to be competent football that looks like football. Like you can't give them a whole new product and expect them to love it like the old one. It's just not how it works with consumers. But again, let's go ahead and finish this off with basketball instead of football. Is the dunk contest still must-see TV, or are you just kind of like ho-hum like most of the U.S.?
No, it's been ruined, and I think everyone will say Vince Carter is the guy who ruined it, because after him, there wasn't really a bunch of stars. I mean, yeah, you had the last really good one was Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon, but those aren't really superstars. You don't get guys like LeBron. I mean, LeBron, I know he's 110 years old, but I know he's
right.
But in his prime, you know,
he never did do it, did he?
Never
he always
did.
Teased it. He always teased it, but he never actually came through.
You know, and it used to be Kobe would go in there. Kobe won a dunk contest. Jordan was in there. Dominique. Yep. I think before All-Star Weekend, Dr. J had won a couple of dunk contests, but it was on a couple of different circuits. It wasn't just NBA All-Star Weekend. There was so many like actual faces of the league type of guys going out there. Now you have these. I mean, look at the lineup tonight. Who is on the dunk contest in the last 5 years? Look at these guys. Who are their names? You know, no names. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
Who are their names?
Exactly. I think Mac McClung is one of them. You ever heard of Mac McClung?
Right.
Mac McClung
that
is
name
cool.
Right there. That's all you need.
I mean, I'm a basketball junkie, so I know these guys, you know. But for like a typical fan, if you're trying to spread interest to just somebody who's just an occasional fan or going out of the town for All-Star Weekend, you're like, man, I don't want to watch. You know, the 3-point contest, I'll give them that, is much more eye-appealing because you see the names in there. You know, Damian Lillard, Julius Randle, who's not much of a 3-point shooter. I don't know why he's participating in it this year. But you see the names, you know, at least the NBA actually tried with the fan interest right there. The dunk contest, I know it has a lot to do with guys really not wanting to pull a hammy or, you know, some little insignificant injury. Same with the pro ball. You see how pro ballers in the NFL.
Extra wear and tear on the knees from the jump and all that stuff,
But who's the couple of them? Oh, Kenyon Martin Jr. There we go. Kenyon Martin, a Nugget. Great. I don't know how to say a Nugget great. He was nice while he was here, but
he was definitely nice.
He had the ugliest jump shot, I think, that I've ever seen. But compared to Sean Marion, some of the ugliest jump shots I've ever. But when he hit a 3, it was like, oh my God, it went in. Like, you know what I mean? Like you look up to this guy and like, how did that happen? But
if he wasn't in the paint, you were terrified of him jacking it up. It was terrible.
But he could throw it down, though. I'll give him that. And I guess he's passed it on to his son. So his son will be participating. Kenyon Martin Jr. from the Houston Rockets being there. Mac McClung, who's, I think, representing the Sixers. I honestly think he's on a 2-way contract. So he's been playing with the Sixers, a G League team. But they've seen his hops. And you know what? He's an underdog. He's my guy I want to go. He's 6 foot.
Yeah, think about
little guy.
We got a dude that spit at least half of his time in the G League is at the All-Star game but
dunking.
KCP and Jamal and Aaron Gordon are all in Cabo.
You know what's crazy? The statistic they put. So they put a statistic out on each one of the dunkers, and it's Kenyon Martin Jr. 45% of his shots have been dunks, and then those other guys were like 20-30% of their shots have been dunks. Mac McClung, it was like he's had 3 I think field goal attempts this year, no makes, no dunks. He just has nothing to do.
Right?
He has nothing to
I
do
guess
with
this is the only way that he can dunk or do anything on a basketball court is when there's nobody else but him on the court.
Yeah, apparently.
That's what it is. Like, that's insane, bro. That's insane to me.
You know, and I guess I'll root for him, you know, but I'm probably more intrigued to the 3-point contest, which is actually about to start.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to watch the dunk contest, obviously, but at the same time, I really would want some more and better personnel, some guys who are really, you know, I would say, how would you put this? Who are really detrimental to their team, you know. The outcome of their team's success depend on some of these guys, you know.
I got you.
Rather see a lot more.
Some superstars, name with name recognition, guys like that. You know, like I get where you're going. Like that's where the casual fan gets brought in, like you said, and that's where the money is. Like a lot of people think that, like, oh, you got to have these diehard fans. Like, no, not really. They're the ones that give the consistent money. They're gonna buy things consistently. But where you get the big money, where these billions of dollars come from for these major professional sports franchises, and that comes from the casual fan. It comes from the one diehard fan that brings his family of 10 of casual fans to the game. And so instead of just having one diehard fan that's there, bought one ticket, buying one nacho, buying one beer, etc., you got 10 MFers buying all that stuff. So that's why all these sports organizations are so geared into getting the casual fan. Like a lot of people think that they do it in detriment to the diehard fan. But again, you wouldn't have the ability to be a diehard fan if there were no casual fans, because that's where the big money comes from. That's where they're able to make the updates to the stadium and buy the new concession stand that gets you the new food that you love so much at the ballpark. That's how it works. So for all of you that just were like, oh, who cares about the casual fan? Everybody should, because that's what makes these sports as
that's
great
what
as
these ownerships prioritize, is the casual fan.
Exactly, because that's where it all comes from. So real quick before we go, who's going to be the number 1 overall pick in the NBA All-Star draft right before the game?
Oh man, that's tough right there. That's a good one. I didn't even look at all the All-Star. What was it? I mean, I know the casual. You know, I'm talking about the word casual. I'm about to use it. I know the casual players who are obviously going to be in it. I know KD's not going to be playing, so. I don't know why people got to hate on Jokic. Why can't Jokic be the number 1? I know his game isn't the sexiest, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be picked number 1. I know, was it LeBron and Giannis? They're going to go for highlight film type of player. Jokic, I mean, if you love basketball, you love IQ, he's a walking highlight film. But if you like dunks and athleticism and, you know, you like to celebrate passing records when your team's losing, then, you know, go ahead with a lot of these other guys. Jokic doesn't go for this pittiness. So I don't know if Jokic would be number 1, but that's who I'd like to see go number 1.
I think he should, and I do believe he will. If I'm not mistaken, I believe LeBron is first. Malone is his coach. If you don't think that Malone has been in LeBron's ear this entire weekend, like, bro, you better pick my boy. You better pick my boy, because if you let another coach go out there and run my man into the ground, we're going to have some problems. So to me, if LeBron has the number 1 pick, like I do believe Jokic goes first. If not for any other reason, it's just that Malone's like, you better not let my boy get run into the ground by that other coach over there.
Is that the format now? They're picking the teams before the game starts?
Yeah, right before the first time. Yeah, the first time ever this year, they're picking it right before the game. Like they're doing the draft and then right into the game after the draft.
I'll do that. I like that. I like that actually.
I like it. They're gonna do that whole intro thing like they normally do, where it's just over the top and stupid. And then they'll do the draft, and then they'll do the game all tomorrow, all in one day. And that's another thing is like we got 2 more XFL games tomorrow. Like this is gonna be really interesting to see if the NBA was able to dominate the XFL. Like if the NBA doesn't, we got problems, America. So
we do.
With that being said,
we do. If that does not happen.
Yes, exactly. So with all that being said, I hope y'all enjoy your NBA All-Star Weekend. I know we are going to. I'm not just going to watch XFL. I promise. I will be watching basketball as well. So we will have all of our takeaways from the All-Star game next week when we come back here. Same time, same channel. Knuckleheads, come back, see us. We love y'all. We appreciate you. Please make sure you hit the likes and subscribes, hit all the red buttons, launch the nukes, clear the way so we can bring you the news the way that you deserve here on The Answer is 42. And as always, you don't question the blue.